Good morning. Today is Thursday, June the 4th. I want to again remind everyone that it is this coming Sunday that we are all coming back together in one morning service. We will meet at 10 o'clock as we traditionally have, and then we are going to have our normal 5 o'clock evening service as well. We are looking forward to being back together, and yet we recognize that there are some that are not comfortable yet. Because of the continuing threat of the virus, there are some people that are just not willing to get out, and we understand that, and that's perfectly fine. We want this to be an individual decision. But for those who want to be here, we're going to be here at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning, or at 5. Choose either or be at both, preferably, but we will be here. For those of you who are not comfortable yet being out, I hope you'll continue to watch on our live streaming on YouTube. But whatever the case, we're going to be talking this week about coming together again, because not only are we doing it as a congregation, but our country needs this message more than ever. So Sunday should be a joyous day for all of us. We're looking forward to that. Yesterday on this daily message, I talked to you about the reality that the only thing that can rescue us from the ugly division that we are seeing in our country right now is the presence of Jesus. Well, that's a nice thing to say. That's nice talk. But how is that really supposed to work? We've all heard the phrase, talk is cheap. And truly, it is. It's too easy to say cute things, hoping that saying those cute things will make things better, but it usually doesn't. I'm reminded of a very interesting proverb. Proverbs 25 verse 20 says this: like one who takes off a garment on a cold day, or like vinegar on soda, is he who sings songs to a troubled heart. We want to be sensitive with our words. We don't want our words to simply be easy cliches that come off our lips without thought, nor do we want them to be meaningless. We want our words to mean something. And truly right now, much of the division that's coming around is being caused by people who are saying things without having thought through the total ramifications of what they are saying. For example, denying the power of this COVID virus. Some almost want to push it aside and say it's not a real thing, but that is truly a dishonor to the 100,000 Americans who have died because of this disease. We are facing terrible racial tensions right now. And we've heard people shouting the phrase, Black Lives Matter. Well, I know a lot of people are inclined to answer that with all lives matter. But when we answer that way, I've got to tell you, that's kind of cheap. We know that all lives matter. But when we deny what is actually being said, we're denying the reality that too many black lives really haven't mattered in the past, at least in the eyes of our society. I do not believe that we are as racist a nation as we once were, nor are we as racist as many want us to believe. But to deny the unfortunate experience of many African Americans as they've been unfairly judged by walking into a retail store, or as they drive through a neighborhood, or as they are assumed to be guilty of something just because they're black, that's to be ignorant of the reality in America right now. The pain is very real, and there certainly is a need for change. But again, what does that look like? How are we to achieve what we all recognize needs to be achieved? Words are indeed cheap until they are truly representative of actions that are also being set forth. Glossing over a problem doesn't make it go away. Pretending everything is all right when it isn't just makes it harder to do what needs to be done. And ignoring a problem when the pain from that problem rests on someone else and not directly on us makes us a part of the problem. When Jesus said, "As you have done it unto one of the least of these, my brethren, you have done it unto me," he was not making some people more important than others. He was pointing out that we view some, we people view some as the least, when he doesn't view them that way at all. So what are we to do? If talk is not enough, sometimes understanding that that talk even gets in the way, what are we supposed to do? Well, we're Christians. And so we turn to Jesus for the pattern of how we are to go about fixing a broken world. I'm going to give you 3 suggestions for us to start with today. First of all, Jesus started with humility. Born in a barn, raised in obscurity, pretty much silent until the world needed his intervention, he emptied himself. Philippians says he humbled himself by becoming obedient to the point of death, even death on a cross. That 2nd chapter in Philippians, I believe, is a pivotal passage that demonstrates how Jesus was positioning himself to be a servant rather than to come and to be served. He's inviting us to follow him in that same attitude. So Jesus started with humility, and then Jesus invested his life in people. In Luke chapter 4, there is the announcement that Jesus made. He was in the synagogue. He was reading from the prophet Isaiah. And then he closed up the scroll and he spoke to the people. And he said to them, he quoted from the Old Testament, and he said to them, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim release to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to set free those who are oppressed." He preached so that people would have some good news in their lives. He addressed people held captive by all sorts of evils. He taught so that people would get past their blindness to what is real. And he came to bring a freedom that cannot be gained by any political or economic system. Jesus invested his life in where people really lived, not a made-up, imagined place, but where they live in the pain of their existence. Jesus invested himself in those people. And then finally, Jesus listened to people. The woman at the well, Zacchaeus, the blind man, the lepers, the lame man who was unable to walk and who had spent his entire life beside the pool at Bethesda, and a tax collector named Matthew. All of these were conversations, most unlikely conversations, between the Lord of the universe and the most needy of people. Jesus listened to them. He conversed with them. He heard their words and he heard their pain. We know that the Lordship of Jesus needs to be preached. But being honest, we also know that it first needs to be seen. The Lordship of Jesus needs to be seen in us as we humble ourselves. The Lordship of Jesus needs to be seen in us as we invest our time and efforts in people. And the Lordship of Jesus needs to be seen in us as we sit quietly and listen to others. This is where we start. And today is the day we start. Go, make this a great day in serving our King.